Hello, everybody in 4B. Happy Wednesday to you. Happy Wednesday to everybody. Welcome to TV production. I'm sorry, I'm in a weird mood now. It's been a funky day. Funky day. How's your day going? I hope it's going well. I hope you're enjoying the new view. I could not sit any longer doing these streams, so I am now standing because my back just could not take it. So you get a lovely, different view of the same part of my house. Christopher's here. Hello. Gianna, hello. The camera is in a different place. I have to stand. The only downside is that my computer is way down here. So sometimes if I'm looking off my screen, it looks like I'm looking down and it bugs me. Hi, Jack. Hello and welcome. Simi, hello. Patrick and Maria, hello. Hi. This week is flying by. I don't know if it's just me, but this week is moving very fast. I think it's because I was so excited to get back into our classes, and I'm so excited to be using WeVideo. I'm going to wrap up our tutorial today because it's just that simple. Evan, hello. Good afternoon. It feels like morning, but good afternoon. Everything's healthy? Good. Okay, perfect. And Braden's here. Hello and welcome. And so is Matthew. You guys always have the best turnout, which is wonderful. Jess, I know. Well, we know how much longer we have to take it for now. You guys know my thoughts. I don't think we're coming back. I've got nothing to base that on, but I don't think we're coming back. Sorry. For now, hopefully getting back into like this kind of stuff with our class at least helps a little. It'll break up some of the other work. It's different. It's more creative. It's more involved. Matt, what is it that you're using at home? I don't think you ever told me the name of it last time. I know, Ryan, I'm really bummed about that. I am, trust me. I'm just trying to think where we would be right now. So let's think. So we would have finished up broadcasting. We would have had 10-day before spring break. So we'd be back from break. We probably would be getting into music videos, and that would honestly take us into towards the end of May, and then June. June's still in the air. So, Blessing, hello. Happy to have you here today. Power Director. I'm going to do a quick Google search on that. Power Director. Okay, PC based. Which means I'm out already. Oh, so it seems like it works very similarly. I'm just looking at their website. Interesting. Cyberlink, that looks familiar. And I want you to see your friends. I want to see my friends and family. No, I know. And I was experimenting with some online gatherings over the weekend. I mean, it's different. You can web chat with anybody. It's just not the same as being in the same room, obviously. But I'm going to talk to, after testing some stuff and looking into some avenues, I'm going to talk to Mr. Cable about doing a big social online gaming thing. So we'll see if that can bring some people together and at least have an activity to do. Yeah, you can only talk to your pets for so long because they just don't talk back. But that's also why I like doing these video things. I know it's not the same. We're not face to face, and I can't see you guys, which, trust me, it does. It pains me. But at least there's some interaction. I know it's not ideal. But again, I still think this is better than just putting work up or things like that. So you don't want to play House Party with your grandma? I'll play House Party with your grandma. I think I have House Party too. I played it once and I was like, I don't like this, because it just kept asking for a lot of private information. No, I know group FaceTime is not the same, but it is the human spirit that we endure, and so endure we must. Just remember that this is not the ideal situation, but it's the right situation, and I think it's the right reaction to the situation, and I think there's some solace in knowing that this is what's best for everybody. And when you think about the greater good, it still sucks, but we're doing the right thing and protecting ourselves and protecting others. So I did play Jackbox games over the weekend with a Zoom meeting, and then we played it streamed over Steam. I tried it over YouTube, but there was at best a 6-second delay. I don't know. We can figure something out, maybe to have a day where we do that, or we'll pick a night and we'll gather who we can. That'd be kind of fun. Oh my God. I would say lucky for her then, because I'm afraid to order anything from Amazon personally, because they keep having all these outbreaks and people keep going to work and then they're shipping things and they're sick, and that's not good. So I've refrained from trying to buy anything from Best Buy or Amazon, even though I do have a package on back order. Some video stuff too, which actually could help, but that's okay. All right, listen, I'm going to answer Blessing's question now, as he's asking about WeVideo, and I don't want to daddle too long without wrapping up where we left off last time, because today is going to be an opportunity to put you guys in a position to take over where we leave off and then complete a very simple edit as our first video assignment. I'll go over the details of the assignment as well, so that you have an understanding of what's going on, but I'm going to jump back into WeVideo here now to finish up some of the few things we were discussing last time. And so if I backpedal a little bit, I apologize. I'm just going to rehash some stuff to make sure that we're all on the same page. If you haven't logged in, you can log in. I'm apparently timed out, so I will reload that. But some of the stuff today is a little bit more detail oriented. So if you want to pay attention to what's on my screen versus the WeVideo tab of your own, that might be the best way to go about it, just as I'm going to get into some of the menus and clip manipulation options and things like that. So give it a good old stretch. Okay, let's bounce over to WeVideo. If you guys logged in, switch over to my desktop here. Okay, you should hopefully, if you were with us last class, all right, see your practice edit down under your recent edits. And if you weren't with us last class, I would strongly encourage you to go watch the video that was streamed last time, as it will give you the introduction to logging in, as well as some of the basic menus and features and things that we have here. So I'm going to get into this practice edit, which I did last class and then had to delete everything. But that's okay, so I can show it with you. So part of your project is going to entail putting something together for are using the clips and footage that I have provided for you, right? If you go to your project menu here and go to My Media and your project media, the clips that are there, all right, are the ones that I provided for you. And so we're going to take that and piece together a very simple edit. This is going to be very reminiscent of things that we kind of did at the beginning of the year. The name of the game for me is not so much that we're creating masterful work right out the gate right now. I know you guys have editing skills. All right, I've seen you in class, and I know that you're familiar with Premiere. It's been a while since we've used it, all right, but I think you're going to find that those skills are going to carry over, all right? It's a different tool, but it's the same concepts, all right? You're just going to be clicking different things and going to different menus, but you're going to have some of the same options there. So just to revisit this project a little bit, all right, I'm going to move through what I'm just going to have be as the opening part of my edit. I'm going to get to a certain point and I'm going to stop so I can introduce the project formally. I'm going to run down through the list of requirements for it. All right, it is going to be posted on Classroom in about 7 minutes. I'm just going to ask that you strongly resist the urge to go look at that prior to me going over it. But if you do, just hold your questions until I give a chance to ask for questions. And of course, I'll be checking the stream periodically. So if you have questions, please, please, please throw them in the chat. Just know, just like last time, there is a little bit of a delay between when you might hear my answer versus when you put that question in. Oh, Ryan's pulling double duty. I like that. I thought about getting my Chromebook in here, and if they would ship my video equipment, I could do that. Cool. All right. So if you have that luxury, awesome. I tried downloading it last night. There is a WeVideo app for your phone. However, it is a little limited, and I don't know exactly how it's limited. It's limited in that I logged in, and it had my project there, but it said I couldn't access it because the things that I was doing in it, you can't do in the mobile app. You can only do on a desktop app. So while the phone could be a fallback option, you might be a little bit limited. I didn't start a new project, so I didn't really explore that too much. But here we are in WeVideo, all right, in our project. And I'm going to start with, oh dear, hold on one sec. Oh, good. Okay. All right. That should be it. My apologies, folks. I was getting some notifications and I'm realizing that I should not have. Oh my God. Should not have asked a group question or a question in the group chat with notifications flying up on my screen. And I'm hoping they continue to not do that. That's a little irritating. Anyway, I'm so sorry. Here we go. So I'm gonna open the video with a few simple edits and clips. We won't get too far into it, but at least it will give you an understanding of how to go about piecing this together and using some of the other features. Oh dear God. Hide alerts, for the love of God. Jeez. Okay. I hope that's gone. All right. So the first clip I'm going to bring in is I'm going to open up with this close-up of a record playing. And I know that I'm going to probably transition to a clip. And so just like last time, if I select that clip once, it'll go over to my program window or preview window. I can preview that here. And it's 21 seconds long, but it's just a close-up of a record spinning, which is great. All right. And I can adjust my in points and out points by grabbing the handles on the end of that clip here and here. So I'm not going to worry so much about my in point because I'm going to do a manual transition so I can show you how to do that. But I do know that I'm going to transition from this clip to my second clip, which means I can't have my out point all the way at the end. It needs that room to transition to, just like in Premiere. And so if I got 21 seconds, I'm just going to take the first, I don't know, 5? Let's say 5 seconds. All right, and I'm going to eyeball it because it doesn't matter so much now. All right, and once that clip is set, I'm going to select it again from my media pane and drag it down into track 1 for video. All right, I'm going to zoom in here in the bottom right-hand corner just so I can get a close-up and see things a little bit better. All right, and I'm going to drop that track down so that I can see that clip a little bit better as well. All right, any of the clips here, you'll notice when you hover over them, the trash can highlights itself. Okay, but it's a nice way to see where you're at. You can rename it if you want as well. I'm just going to keep it video 1 for now. All right, but that drop-down arrow will allow me to select the track height and show some more options. Okay, so now that I've got this clip in there, you'll notice that when it's selected, I have this tab that opens up here, allowing me to do some options and manipulate some of that clip. All right, so I said for this one, I'm going to add a manual transition, which I can do by selecting the opacity options. It's the second one here. It's the line, not array, a line, right? It's got 2 endpoints. So if we select on that, it's going to put an opacity line on my clip in green that's going to allow me to manually keyframe my transition. Now, if you just select off fade, all right, you'll notice that it defaults to a duration based, or a fade based on duration. So even just simply clicking fade, it's going to add a, by default, 1 second fade in and a 1 second fade out. And that's good, I guess, and you can always modify that. If we know this is the first clip, maybe I do want a 1 second fade in, but I want a 0 second fade out because I don't want it to fade out at all. So that's a nice way to add a transition without having to go to the Transitions tab. All right, the other thing you can do is just manually add a keyframe, right? If I want it to go here, I can bring my first keyframe down. So start at 0% opacity and work your way up to 100. Okay. And so that was a 1.7 second transition. I wouldn't have guessed that 1.7 is what I want. And I don't even know it's what I want, but let's just play it back. Actually, I do like that. And I'm going to extend this clip an extra second for what's coming next. All right. Beautiful. So the next clip I'm going to add is this clip here titled Live Band. Now, if I'm transitioning from this clip, it means that my endpoint can't be at the beginning either, right? Heads and tails. So I got to adjust this in, and I'm going to bring it in right after we see the dude hitting the microphone. We're going to land on her, and we're going to shorten this up just a little bit right when she looks away. This should be long enough. There you go. She's out of frame. Cool. Let's move that down into our timeline. Beautiful. And just by dragging it and adding it, all right, it'll outline itself in green if it's good, and I can move that right over so it bumps up against that clip. Now, if it turns red, it means obviously it won't add it because it can't. All right, the other thing that you have an option to do is if you bring this in and move it to the front of your timeline, you will notice that it is now highlighted in orange. And if I were to let go of that, a menu is going to pop up that gives me an option to insert and push. And that's an insert edit. It's a type of edit you can do in Premiere as well. But essentially what it's going to do is it's going to force the first clip to move out with enough space to just allow the clip I'm adding. So if I were to insert and push, for example, it's going to put this clip in front and then move this clip right after and make sure that there is no space or gap between those clips. Now, I don't want to do that because I've already taken the time to add my fade here. So I'm going to undo that action. And thankfully, Command-Z works in WeVideo. So Command-Z and Command-S are 2 shortcuts, right, that you can use here. And it's funny because in Premiere, I kept saying those are the 2 most frequently used shortcuts you're going to use. If you know any 2, know to save and know to undo an action that we didn't need to do. So it's only fitting that those are the 2 shortcuts that we have here. All right. So I'm going to add that clip after my opening clip there, and we'll get to some modifications in a sec. I'm just going to pause and go back and see if there are any questions in the chat. Dan Lynn's here. Thanks for joining. I don't know why that made you laugh, Ryan. You should have Splatoon. Happy Earth Day to everyone, and you, Blessing. And Blessing, you don't have to thank me for saying it's happy to. I'm always happy to have you here. All right, so if we're following along, okay, excellent. All right, so now that I've got these 2 clips here, I need to change my view options. primarily because the one thing that WeVideo doesn't do, as you'll see in a sec here, is that it doesn't differentiate between audio that's attached to a clip, all right, as separate independent audio. So whereas in Premiere, when we move a clip with audio in it to our timeline, it's going to show up in the video track and the audio track. Now this clip of the band playing does have music or audio in it, but it doesn't show in the audio track. And I think that's just WeVideo's way of simplifying, but that essentially means that your audio tracks are going to be strictly for audio that you've added to the clip, in this case music or sound effects. So if we want to see the audio attached to this clip, if I go over to video 1 and use that drop down to go to the largest view option, it will show me the audio that's attached to these clips. And I can see in the first clip there is no audio, and in the second clip we have audio because I can see the waveform. All right. Now if we want to make adjustments, we can do that in one of two ways. So the first and probably most frequent way is going to be selecting that clip and going up to your options tab here to the speaker, all right, which is going to allow you to adjust the volume of that audio. And much like adding an opacity fade, we can add a volume fade, which does the same thing. It puts those keyframes in automatically, all right, based on duration. So this is a 1 second fade in and a 1 second fade out. I don't want any of that, all right? And of course you can adjust the durations, but it's just easier to uncheck that box. Now, if I want to keyframe manually, just like opacity, I can go ahead and do that as well and add as many keyframes as I need to make those adjustments. Now, I'm not going to actually keyframe this. I want to get rid of the audio, okay? So I'm going to select that speaker and I'm going to bring down the audio in that clip all the way down to nothing. And you'll see visually the light gray starts to lower and it lets me know that that audio has been taken out. Now, it's still present. It's just the volume has been taken all the way to nothing to ensure that we don't hear it. So that's going to be helpful when we start to add other sounds. Now, let's hypothetically assume that you guys shoot some video of your own that you need to put into WeVideo, and you want to get rid of the audio in every single clip, right? Maybe your brothers and sisters are screaming in the background, there's a dog barking outside, TV's on, and you just want to see what you did or shot and not necessarily hear the things around it. So it would be a little tedious to then click on every clip, go to the speaker option, lower the volume for everything, all right? You'll notice that when I drop down video 1, there is an option here for volume for the entire track. So this will take down the volume for every clip that appears in video track 1. So if you're bringing in 20 things and you need to lower the volume of all of them, it's just much easier to bring them in and then bring this volume, the master volume of the track, all the way down. Okay, if you are like, oh, I want to use volume in 5 of them, well, you can do one of two things. You can just say, I'm going to lower the audio in all of them but 5. You can put those 5 clips in, say, video track number 2. And that way, you can lower all the audio in 1, but keep the audio in video 2. And even if you kind of castle it, right? So like, let's say live band was up here. All right. Now I lowered it here, but that volume is still up here. And so if my next clip I knew was a clip without volume, I can put it in here. And so that way video 2 becomes all the clips that I want volume for, and video track 1 is all the clips I don't want audio for. All right, but we'll keep them both in here because the audio is a little irrelevant, seeing as how I can't hear it, and if I played it, you guys can't hear it either. So I've got a simple cut in going from one to the other. All right, and I'm actually going to add a track because I want to make an adjustment to the beginning of my video here. So I'm going to add a track. I'm going to add a video track, but I'm going to call that titles. We're going to add that track. All right, because I'm going to move on to text next. So if I go over to my project menus and go over to text, all right, remember it's going to have everything in there broken down by category. Your most frequent categories are going to be motion and static. All right, in season and callouts aren't super helpful and a little cheesy. Okay, and so and if you forget what they do, you can always click on it once and it will preview it so you know if you want to use something like that or not. Now I'm going to keep it simple. All right, I'm going to use my In With a Whisper title. All right, it's classy, it's elegant. All right, if you want something static, you can just use a basic text option. All right, but I'm going to use this because it animates it for me, and I would probably do some level of animation anyway. So I'm going to take my In With a Whisper text, and I'm going to move it down into my timeline, into my titles track. And I want it to fade or work its animation in right after my video fades in. Now, what you're going to find with the motion text is that there is a limit to how short or long you can make it based on that animation, right? So static text, I can make as long or as short as I want, whereas motion text is going to have a limit. I can't make it any shorter than that without cutting off the animation, all right? And so that's perfect, which means I can make it a little bit longer, and that's great. We'll set it here for right now. All right. Now that I've added it, I want to modify that text. You can double click it, which is probably the easiest way to get into modifying it, right? It jumps to your editing tab where I can adjust the position. I can rotate it if I want to. I can flip it for some reason if I'm, I don't know, mirror shot. I can make it larger if I need to as well. All right. And of course, if I go over to this word bubble, I can change what it says. All right. In addition to the color and the font. So the color is going to show exactly like it would in Premiere. Right, if I were to select that as an option, I can pick a swatch and get close to the color I want, and then I can use the pixel picker to get even closer. Now I'm going to keep it white because I think it just looks a lot sharper, and while I wish it had a drop shadow, it does not. So I'm going to rename this. This was the title I came up with. If I can spell correctly. All right. And I'm going to change that font as well, and thankfully it previews what that font looks like. I'm going to go Oswald. I've actually enjoyed that a lot. Now it's a smaller font, which is fine, because I can go back to my Transform tab, make that a little bit larger, and then of course I can go over to this window and I can adjust the position of the font in that window. And I'm going to put it right down here in the corner. I would like it to be here so it's parallel to the needle. However, I don't like how the record cuts through it because it makes it a little bit harder to read. So I'm just going to move it right up here, and then I'm going to save those changes. So when I scrub back to the beginning of the video, we're going to fade in, and then my title comes in, and then my title is going to go out, and then we're into the rest of our video. All right. Now, I think a cut here works, but I'm actually going to add a transition. So I'm going to go over to my Transitions tab. And there's a lot to choose from, and there's some funky ones. I'm going to keep a standard crossfade because I think it looks just is exactly what I'm looking for. And we're going to add that transition there, just like that. That's simple. All right, and it shows that transition visually as something different as well, so it's easier to see once you get a few things in a row where your transitions are. Now, if you don't like the duration, you can double-click it and adjust that duration. I'm actually going to cut it in half, make it 0.5 seconds. Okay. And so now from the beginning, title comes in, title goes out, and then we cross dissolve to our first shot. Awesome. And while we're at it, not that it matters much, but let's just put in some of that music. So remember, the music for the project is not in the audio tab, it's in your My Media tab, Project Media, and here's the two songs that I provided. I'm just going to take this one and throw it in my audio track. Make sure it's at the very beginning, of course. Drop this down so I can see it a little bit better. And then I can realize very quickly that while the audio does build in the beginning, it takes a really long time. So I'm just going to cut that down, move it over, add a quick keyframe to match my video keyframe, and then pull this one down. So now my audio, which we all can't hear, it will fade in with my video, then the title, and then we move to our first clip. All right. And now that my audio track, for the most part, is kind of set, I'm going to minimize this so it's the smallest, as it just takes up a lot of space, and I would rather have the space dedicated to my video. So I'm going to pause for a second here and go back to the chat for a sec and just see how everyone is doing. Blessing, you are so very welcome. I'm glad that you're finding this helpful. And while I pause for a sec, I'm just going to give you guys a sec to ask any questions if you have them. Give me a thumbs up if you're good so far. If I'm moving too fast, give me a thumbs down. Let me know if I need to slow down with things. But give me some indication that we're okay, we're following along, or if we need help, let me know as well. Because I'm going to go over to the assignment that was posted to run through it very quickly. All right. outline the stipulations for it, and then go back to WeVideo to show you the last few things that I want to show on the day that are part of that project. Braden with a thumbs up. Oh, Gianna, good. I'm glad that you think it looks fun. Evan with a thumbs up. Oh, my God. Got to get back into some yoga stuff later. Oh. Will with a thumbs up. Patty Ice is good. All right, keep dropping those thumbs if you need to. I'm just going to bounce on over to our assignment here. Now, this is what was posted on Classroom. All right, but I figured I would go over it with everybody. It's probably the shortest assignment I've given, mainly because there's a lot of little things that I know you guys know how to do, and like the tips and stuff are going to carry over. So this is what was posted. Okay. This is going to be for our first very simple practice edit, and it's very simple for a couple of reasons. All right, one, my goal with you is to not give you something so challenging right out of the gate that you're struggling to come up with an idea or shoot a bunch of footage. Like I much like in class, I want you to feel comfortable using the software first before we build on our project types. So for some of you, you might look at this and go, Mr. Leonard, I can do this in an hour. And then some of you might say, I'm going to need way more time with this. And then, as you guys can see in the chat, there are a lot of people that aren't here. And I want to also kind of be respectful to the folks that have trouble coming to class, that gives them some time to catch up. Okay. And so we will transition to some shooting projects soon. But this will at least give me an idea of where we stand with the software. It's going to build your comfortability and confidence with it as well, because I think after this, you're going to feel like, oh no, I can use this no problem. So we're going to be putting together, using the footage that's here, a 60 to 90 second edit, okay, of the clips that were provided. Now, there's not necessarily a rhyme or reason to the clips that I've chosen. However, a good editor will look at some randomness and try and make something out of nothing. So if you want to kind of give that extra layer of challenge to yourself, go for it. It's not totally random that I opened up with a record player and then cross-dissolved to a live performance of a band. All right, they're both music related. There's something in line there. So we're going to be trying making something out of this seemingly nonsensical collection of clips that will edit down to 60 or 90 seconds. All right, you're going to have to use every clip that's provided, all right, which is 22, in addition to 3 clips that you're going to find on your own in the stock media tab. I want you guys to explore that a little bit. All right, so I've already told you that every time you go into your project, it defaults to that stock media tab, and what's shown there is different every single time. And that's just so that you can see something that you wouldn't see if it just showed the same thing every time. It's going to get you guys to go in there and search a little bit. All right, so you need to have an opening title, and you need to have closing credits. So there's 2 uses of text that need to be done. And this is an opportunity to explore some of those crazy text options and graphics. If you're so inclined to want to use them, all right, use them here. They may not make sense in a narrative storytelling kind of fashion. A lot of them seem to be very like news or commercial oriented. But find what you think looks interesting and then use them. Okay, so that's going to be 2 uses of text there. You need to use at least 5 different transitions other than cuts. See, some of these requirements should sound familiar to you too. And this is to get you to explore the transitions that are there. Okay, so obviously if you have 5 and you just use the 5 that you find in there and the rest are cuts, you're going to have a lot more cuts, and that's perfectly fine. Again, it's just get you to see and play around with what some of those other transitions are. All right, I'm going to ask that you use 2 different pieces of audio mixed correctly. Now, I've provided 2 songs in there for you, and if you want to use both those songs, perfectly fine. Go for it. All right, you also, as you saw last class, and I'll show you again, there is an audio tab that is going to have music for you that WeVideo offers that you can use too. So if you want to go through that and find something a little bit different, by all means, go for it. I've found some lo-fi hip-hop, which is a really common type of music to be used in YouTube videos that are a little bit more montagey. And so I just kind of stuck with that trend and found something that I thought was kind of interesting and royalty-free. Okay. You need to use the FX tab on at least 2 clips. I'll show that again when we go back into WeVideo. All right. And then you need to have at least 1 instance of picture-in-picture. I was trying to find a way to have you guys modify some clips, and this seemed to be not even the silliest. The best way to do that, even though sadly picture-in-picture doesn't always look really great, but within that, maybe we can creatively find a solution that it actually does look good. So those are the stipulations. Nothing that we haven't had in any project before. All right, so I'm going to jump back to my solo cam, minimize this, and bounce on back to a whole bunch of thumbs and a cowboy. Thank you, thank you, Chris, for the cowboy. The FX tab. I'm going to get to that, Ryan. Don't you worry. I'm going to go back to WeVideo. I just wanted to make sure I introduced that that project so that as I move forward with some of the last bits of things, you can kind of start to think out in your head, okay, how am I going to utilize some of these things? So I'm going to ask before I go back, are there any questions on the project? And if so, I'm going to check back in just a sec. I'm going to go over to back to WeVideo. Okay. So the last little bits. We'll expand this just so it's in line with what we've been working with so far. Okay. So far, so good. Here's our band. Cool. Now, some of the things that I had asked for, okay, are pretty simple to find as we've been dancing around them all class. So let's just hypothetically say that I wanted to modify this clip. And I know that one of the project requirements is that I add an FX effect to one of these clips. And so my record player is a perfect one to start with, all right, because thematically it's going to make sense to come before this live band clip. But if I want to adjust it, I can select it, all right, highlighted in orange, and my tab pops up here. I can click on the FX button. And the FX button, short for effects, these are more or less like filters, and I don't necessarily like a lot of them, and I kind of wish that there was way more. Like Instagram, Snapchat has way more stuff, and I think a lot of that could carry over and make some of this really cool. But you got some options to do simple modifications to your clips, right? So if you want to blur it out, if you want to kind of push your brights and have that dreamy look, you can invert the colors for some reason. You know, black and white might be a popular option, and that's the one I'm going to choose. It'll preview it over here, which is nice, so you can see what it looks like before you select it, but I'm going to check it off. I want to apply it. And so now my record player's in black and white, which looks really nice. I like the contrast between the darkest parts and the whitest parts. All right, so make that text pop a little bit too. And then it's extra contrast because it butts up against this really bright and flashy clip with all the lights going on in the band and stuff. In fact, if I want to modify that even more, I can, right? If I select it and then go to the first option here for clip editing, all right, there's a few things that you can adjust here as well. All right, you can obviously transform it. So if you want to flip it, cool. If you want to, or rotate it, I'm sorry. If you want to flip it, you can, which could be helpful if, say, like you shot on your phone and maybe, I don't know, the camera didn't record it. Like, you know how sometimes like your shirt font will be like flipped. You can flip that back. You can adjust the scale if you need to in the position. You can go back to audio if you like to. All right. Animation, I haven't found much of a need for. So I haven't dabbled in that too much. I would fathom that you're able to do some keyframing animation in just simple movement and scale. Right? So like if you want to start here and then go to your end and go here, like you can argue that it's going to get larger, but I don't really like any of that. So let's just trash that animation. All right. You can also, this is where I spent most of my time, is just in color, right? If you want to make things a little bit brighter, we can do that as well. I like pushing the saturation up in this clip, getting those colors to pop. All right, let's save those changes. The last two options here aren't anything spectacular. You can key, so if you do shoot in front of a green screen, you can actually remove the green screen. And then the last one is for speed, which again, I haven't played too much with, but I don't know how these clips were shot, so it makes it tough to modify the speed correctly. So I'm going to save those changes. Now my clip looks a little bit different. All right. And we're going to move on from this band performing and add another clip into our timeline, which I figured if we got people singing, why not get our good old hip-hop Santa in there? And I'm just going to make some modifications, shorten this clip a little bit, get a few seconds of Santa in there, and then we're going to add Santa down to the timeline. I'm going to keep this as a cut. All right. And as you can see, there's no audio associated with this clip at all. But there's Hip Hop Santa. All right. And, you know, as much as I really do love this baby seal, it just doesn't seem to fit with what I have right now. And so I'm going to stick with this dancing motif, which means it's a perfect opportunity to go into my stock media. And I've already found some clips for dancing. Someone yesterday asked, well, wait, Mr. Leonard, when are we ever going to need to use the stock media outside of this requirement for the project? I think exterior shots are a really good one to use. So, you know, home, is that how I did last time? Or I did house? Looking for the exterior of a building is a great way to say, hey, guess where I am? I'm here. And then when you cut inside, we've got that shot established. Busyness. I don't know what's going to come up because I have, oh, look at that. Handshake. Something we can't do anymore. Anyway, if we go back to dancing, because that's more on topic. Oh my God, I can't type when there's an audience. That's just a problem I have. All right, I've already favorited this one because it's the most ridiculous white guy dance you've ever seen. How cool is this, dude? That's Mr. Leonard at any wedding he's been to. Perfect. We're going to use this guy because why not? I'm sure there's some other ridiculous ones here, and that's cool. We have this nice, sweet old couple dancing. Oh, in slow motion. You know what? Let's try this one because it'll give us a chance to use the color picker. I don't know if it'll work, but we'll try. So we got our clip here. All right, stop playing, please. Thank you. Let's just take some of it, bring that down. All right, we're going to add this to our timeline, and we're going to have her dance alongside Hip Hop Santa. Now, just like in Premiere, okay, the clips are stacked on top of one another, but I can't see the one underneath because this one covers it. So let's go into that modification tab here, and let's see if we can get rid of that green screen. I've never done this using WeVideo, so we're going to try. So let's select our color. Let's just take this color green, and I don't know what. Yeah, okay. So we want a high defringe. She's not wearing any green. So we have, okay, I guess that's as high as you can get it, right? Now if I mask it, it's just going to be, yeah. All right, well, you know what? That's not terrible for free software, and that's fine. And now I can actually go back if I want to. I can make her a little bit tinier, and I'm going to move her just to the bottom over here. All right. So in a weird roundabout way, this would satisfy the picture-in-picture requirement. All right. All right, because it's just weird dancing people. All right, another way to satisfy that requirement, it wouldn't look as good, of course, but if I were to take this dude, the world's best dance moves, trim that down a little bit. All right, cool. And we can throw him in here as well. And I guess we're a little long, so we'll shorten that up. That's fine. We're just playing. I'm playing right now. All right, is that if I were to go into that clip modifier, I love the name of this clip too. I am currently editing Happy Businessman walking through the modern office and doing crazy dance. Man in cheerful mood greets with colleagues. Like I can scale this down and save those changes. Okay, and then obviously I would want to move it, but like this would be a picture-in-picture as well, right? Seeing two clips at the same time it doesn't look visually great, but it's going to let me know that you know how to go in and modify those clips a little bit. All right. Now I'm trying to think real quick. I'm going to bounce back to the chat, see if you guys have any questions. Oh, Ryan, Jack, did that answer the picture-in-picture part? And Ryan, did that answer the, I'm hoping it answered the FX tab at least, because that's pretty clear cut. As the sun goes away. So let me know if that answered your question. Did Jack and Ryan die? Did they go away? Are they okay? I just want to make sure I've answered that question for you. Oh, okay, good. There we go. Yes, awesome. All right. Does anyone else have any questions? If so, leave them in the chat. I'll be back in a second. I'm going to show the last little bit here. All right. So picture-in-picture is, the terminology comes from me breaking my mic stand. Holy cow. So sorry. Ooh, breaking my mic stand and probably my dining room table. Cool. So it very simply, Ryan, refers to having a video image with another smaller video image inside of it, where you're seeing both full pictures at the same time. But because you can only have one screen size, one of those images or pictures needs to be smaller. And so that's why, oops, wrong option here. In the timeline here, okay, all right, so you can see in my timeline, I've got two clips kind of stacked on top of one another. The person dancing in the plaid shirt is the picture-in-picture, all right, because his picture is inside the picture of Hip Hop Santa. But in order to see it, it needs to be smaller. So that's what picture-in-picture looks like. This was a popular thing in like the late 90s, early 2000s for television to have as a feature. So like it could allow you to, I don't know, watch a TV show and then do like a sports game in the corner or vice versa. It kind of dwindled out. Not a lot of TV sets do that anymore because it was difficult to do and not a lot of stations supported it. And yes, green screen would count as picture-in-picture. And that was the example I did before with this lady dancing. All right. It is technically picture-in-picture. So I don't know what happens if you search green screen. Let's see what comes up. Okay, a couple different options. I mean, and that's part of like, if you want to play around and go, oh, I could do picture-in-picture with a green screen thing. Awesome. Like, I don't know what this person's going camping. What do you... Oh, she's just majestically looking out over, I don't know, in a windy cliff. And you know what? Maybe there's some footage that can work with. You know, like there's some scenic clips that could work with. So yeah, that's certainly an option. Green screen would count as a picture-in-picture because it is still technically two clips on top of each other stacked, and you need to modify it, so that would count. Cool. All right. Oh, wait, I jumped too soon. Okay, the last little bit, and then I'm going to give some time for questions, and we can call it a day. I'll just give an outline to our week as well. So when your edit is finished, let's just hypothetically assume that this masterpiece of an edit is done, and we want to get it out of WeVideo so that you can have it as a video and then turn it in. It's this giant blue button up here in the top right hand corner. It says finish. So when you select that, Okay, there is not a lot of export options. You guys remember Premiere, there are tons of different ways that we can export this, different formats, different destinations. And while that's really great, this is still within the scope of what we need to do. So this is perfect. Now, if you've named your project already, it's already named. And if not, you can rename it here, which is good because that'll be the name of the exported video. You, of course, want to make sure that you're exporting video with audio. It will default to that. I guess if you did like a voiceover or something you recorded for a podcast, you can export audio only, but we want both, of course. All right, you want to select the HD option. We want this to be in high definition, not standard definition. So if you get confused, just remember the bigger the number, the better the quality. Okay, and then you can pick a thumbnail for it. It doesn't give too many options. These are actually all identical. That's kind of sad, but that's a little bit less important. All right, now the other key thing here is that you're going to have to select a destination. Now, I might have more destinations as an option than you do, as I turned a lot of these off because I think some of the websites are blocked and the other ones, it's not going to be helpful. So I figured I'd make it a little bit less confusing. Obviously, the key one here is going to be your Google Drive. Now, it should link automatically, all right? But when you select that as an option, it's highlighted in blue. You can't uncheck this one. This is WeVideo. WeVideo is automatically going to have a copy of your export, okay? So once you have Google Drive selected, you're just going to hit export. Now, I'm not going to hit it because I don't want to export this video and have it count against my usage cap, all right? But the reason why this is checked off is that way it'll appear in your panel of exported videos. So once that export is started, you'll see a window pop up letting you know it's processing that. That was the keyword I couldn't come up with. Okay. And once it's finished, it'll let you know it's finished. It may even send you an email as well, which is, I guess, helpful if you want to hit export and then go have lunch or something. What's really great is that because it's to your Google Drive, and I'm just going to jump over to my drive now, WeVideo will make a folder for your video to sit in. So if I move to the bottom of my list, because alphabetically WeVideo is right there, all right, I can open that up and I can see these are the videos that I have exported. I actually don't need this showing there twice, so delete. But what's really great with this, I'll remove at the very bottom, stupid me, is that now that it's in Drive, all right, and it's playable as a video, I can go into Classroom, all right, when I get to our assignment and I'm ready to turn that in, I can select the option to turn in something from Drive, go to that WeVideo folder, and then attach it to the Classroom assignment, which means at this assignment, when you're going to turn in your exported video. This document is just simply, all right, the project stipulations, kind of like a checklist, more or less. Man, that looks so simple. And then so once that video's in, you done. Okay, now we've made some work. So dashboard, let's just make sure that my progress is saved. Nothing to save. All right, that's cool. Save it. That's it. That's kind of it. I'm going to go back to my cam here and jump back to the screen. Okay. So with the last few minutes, there's, I guess, one more thing to go over. And that's just going to be kind of our schedule and our due date for this. So it says it in Classroom if you didn't see that. I wrestled with the due date because honestly, I didn't want to take too much time on this project, as I think it's, for most people, going to be really simple. But you can see we're missing like 8 people from class. And because it's the first one out, I want to make sure that you guys don't feel extra pressure in having to get this done by Friday. So it's going to be due by the start of class on Tuesday. All right. So what that means for our schedule for the rest of this week, at least, is going to be that Friday, we're going to do a quick check-in. But if you feel comfortable with WeVideo, then by all means say, hey, Mr. Leonard, I'm good. I'm going to go work on stuff. Cool. And then bounce and then go take care of what you need to take care of. I'm going to leave that hour open as kind of a question and answer session, troubleshooting thing where I can pop in and show you some stuff if you have questions or repeat some things that maybe we forgot from day one. So that being said, I would encourage you to try and sit down to work on and edit between tonight and tomorrow. And that way, if you do have some trouble, if you do have some questions, you can have them ready to go for Friday's class. Just because over the course of the weekend, if you sit down and go, all right, I'm going to try and do this now, I might be a little bit slower getting back to people on the weekend, as there are some things that I need to take care of as well. So try and sit down and put some time into this tonight, tomorrow. So that way, if you do have questions, you can come to Friday's class and have those ready to go. And then on Tuesday of next week, since it'll be due before class, I would love to try and find a way to show some of these. I got to work on some WeVideo things, but not WeVideo things, my video setup, as I have some audio issues with computer. Long story, but I would love to try and show some of these, and I should be able to do that. It just might be a slower process live. And then we'll kind of talk about what issues we had, where we need more help, and then we'll kind of start to outline what's going to be our next project, and there will be some shooting components to that you'll have to do at home. All right, so I'm still developing that, but I've kind of got it narrowed down as to what that's going to be. It's going to be simple, but it's going to be open enough where it should be accessible to everyone. And I'm kind of looking forward to getting into that with you. All right, so Matt, here's what I'm going to say. I know you were tinkering with this. I'm just going to ask that for the practice project, for this one, since the media is already there, it's already imported, okay? I'm going to ask if you could do this project in WeVideo just to try and use it. I know you have a different platform, and of course, we're always more comfortable with what we already know how to do. So I'm going to ask for this one project. Stick with WeVideo, and if after this project, if you get this done and you want to go back to what you've been using at home, I'm perfectly fine with that. Like I had one or two of my other students as well are like, oh, Mr. Leonard, I have Premiere at home. Can I use that? I'm going to say go for it after the practice project, just so you have some experience trying something different. I think adapting skills is a good skill set to have as well. Questions coming in from Ryan. What would we do on Friday? Ryan, I just explained that, but I'll explain it again. Friday is going to be a quick check-in to get a progress update, as well as to have that time for questions and answers as far as like troubleshooting goes. If you're trying to do something in WeVideo and it's not working, or if you're like, oh, Mr. Leonard, how do I do the green screen thing again? I can jump over to it and show you. Otherwise, you can kind of check in and say, Mr. Leonard, I'm good, and then bounce on out and continue to get some work done. The opening title can be anything, and I would strongly encourage a creative title, because if you were just like, oh, Jack Farrow's practice project is my title, I'm going to know that it's Jack Farrow's practice project before I play that video. So I try and come up with something a little unique and interesting, all right? And while I chose a few clips that were somewhat similar, you do not under any circumstances have to start your video the same way. And I just wanted to throw that out there because I'm afraid of now having everyone's going to think the project needs to start with a record player. It does not, all right? Your project does not need to mirror what I put together. I was just piecing that together to show you, all right, some simple things in the project. No, Ryan, you don't have to apologize. It's okay. I was just teasing. So on that note, I'm just going to ask if you guys have any questions on anything that you just need to get out right away. And if not, we'll wrap on the day, as we did hit our threshold, but I have no problem hanging a little bit later if you guys have questions on stuff. If not, like I said, we're going to meet again for a check-in on Friday. We can troubleshoot, ask questions. The project's due at the start of class on Tuesday, and then we'll pick up and go from there. So I'll hang back for a bit. I'm going to turn my mic down unless you guys have questions. I'll hang for a few minutes, but if you're good to go, feel free to head on out. Enjoy the rest of your afternoon, and I will touch base with all of you on Friday. All right, adios.